Hello guys, welcome back to the live series for AA Crash. Okay, so to recap what we have done for the last two sessions for the AA Crash series. Day 1 we discussed about audit risk. Day 2 we discussed about internal controls and substantive procedures. Not substantive procedures, sorry. We have discussed about internal controls and internal control related weaknesses and that particular thing. And we mentioned that today we'll be covering substantive procedures and reporting, which are going to be the next core area in the syllabus of AA. Okay, so before we go in any further to the day 3 of the crash series over here, so any of the people who have joined in have still doubts relating to day 1 and day 2. Okay, so day 1 and day 2, if you have anything like no day 1 and day 2 any doubts, you can put it in the chat box. We will just have a discussion over there, and then we'll go ahead with the substantive procedure side. Okay, so any discussion needed? I'll wait for you guys to put in the chat box. Right? Yes, Sumit. This chapter, Sumit is of the opinion. Okay, this chapter is very difficult. I believe it is relating to like no substantive procedures. I will make it easier for you, like no how to do that particular thing, how to get that easy marks out of this particular thing. The questions that is being given. Okay, right? Again, so I believe there are not much questions over here. Okay, so let's discuss in generally how to relate it to case study. Yes, again that could be like no how I will take you through that thing also. So in general when we are talking about the substantive procedures, okay, people often say this is a wider area in the AA syllabus or this thing given. So if you are referring to BPP textbook itself, you will be seeing like no there are around like 6 to 7 chapters, or I would say more than chapters. 7 chapters is there minimum, more than that is also being there. And you can see the same kind of structure in ACCA study hub also. And in Kaplan they have got for one chapter for substantive procedures, which will be like very big chapter, which will be discussing on the general procedures, general substantive procedures that we'll be seeing over here. Now, it is clearly stated by the examiner in the examiner reports that if you write in general relating to any of these particular things also, you will not be getting any marks for that. You will not be getting any marks for writing the general procedures unless the examiner is asking you general procedures. So, meaning as Sumit mentioned over here, okay, you need to structure your answer. You need to structure your answer with your case study. You need to link your answer with your case study. That is the first thing that you need to be looking into when you're talking about this substantive procedure. So let's, without any further delay, let's get into our topic. Okay, so we are going to discuss day 3. Day 3 where we'll be covering clear the concepts relating to substantive procedures and reporting. We will take the practice questions. We will take one question from the latest one, and we will also do reporting wise 2 questions also. So instead we will be doing 3 questions herein, and then we will be proceeding with the exam techniques relating to each area. How will you tackle that particular thing? So before we go in any further into this particular thing, to give you like a general concept revision, I'm not going in detail, but to give you this particular thing, we have audit procedures. In our audit procedures there are 2 things we'll be looking into. As you already know, will be 2 things that we'll be looking into. Okay, we will have TOC, test of controls, which we have discussed in the last session, and we will be having substantive procedures. So today's point is on this particular substantive procedures over here. And substantive procedures are audit procedures designed to detect material misstatements at the assertion level. So at the assertion level, meaning we are not going at at the total level of the company. We're looking at each line item. Each line item in the financial statements will have some assertions, like assertions relating to, we'll be having that short form OCAP and COVSEP, which is like no completeness, existence, like that assertions is coming up. So relating to these assertions also, like no whether this assertions will be prone to any material misstatement. To detect that, we'll be going for this particular procedures over there. And this substantive procedures can be divided into SAP and TOD. So we'll be having SAP, and this one is TOD. Okay, so SAP is substantive analytical procedures. We call it as SAP, which will be used to check any unusual relationships or patterns are there. For example, you will be having a particular okay, substantive analytical procedures. I'll go in detail rather than like no. There are three types of it. Okay, so we'll have one variance analysis, two ratio analysis, three proof in total analysis. So variance analysis is nothing but you are comparing your current year FS values with the prior year audited values or maybe to a budget. That is variance analysis. And if you are looking like no anything unexceptional, meaning like no anything not expected, that you can further investigate. That is one thing. Second thing is ratio analysis. You have studied some normal ratios, like we have looked into receivable days, payable days, like that thing. We'll be also looking into the profit ratios, liquidity ratios, solvency ratios, investment related ratios. All that particular ratios will be having like we'll calculate for the current year. We'll consider for a previous year also. We'll compare any significant differences. We'll investigate. That is the second one. The most important concept that might be new for you would be proof in total. Proof in total is studying the interrelationship between data. One example, if you take, let's say that your number of employees in the last year was 35. The number of employees in this year is at 50. So normal expectation about you is like no, since the number of employees increase, the payroll cost would increase. That would be the expectation. But what if that expectation is turning wrong? So that would be investigated. So proof in total is based on your data available, based on your expectation. You will expect this to be that a particular figure, and actual might come. You'll compare it with the actual. So if there is any like no differences, that will be investigated. So that would be coming. These three things will be coming in your substantive analytical procedures. So I think this would have been clear for all of you. Okay, some comments have came in. Okay, please give us the important direct theory questions in all the topics. Yes, Kavita, I'll just go through that and I'll give you on that SBK questions. Yes. Okay, then okay, Naman is coming with this particular thing, like I have completed my audit and assurance syllabus long time ago, but my college exams are going on, so I took a break for a few days. Then when I started the substance procedures question, I couldn't understand anything, but now I have started with the procedure section and I wasn't able to understand it, so I'm trying to learn it. So I'm learning some points so I can write on the exam. Yes, I'll help you on that, Naman, as well. So right, so over here we were talking about like no substantive analytical procedures, and the other thing or the major thing that you will be doing in most of the audit procedures would be test of details. And test of details is we are testing the details of some things. What are we are doing? We are testing the details of class of transaction, COT, class of transaction, account balances, AB's account balances, and B's disclosures. So we are testing the details of each of this particular thing. For example, there is a purchase of a particular asset happened. You will obtain that purchase document, that invoice, and inside that invoice I am testing each and every details. What item, what name, what is the quantity, how much is the amount per thing, what is the total amount, to whom it was being addressed, from whom it was being taken. Okay, is it having any GST related details or any tax related details? Okay, what is the total of this thing, is it being posted or this thing? So these many details or these many things, is it being paid, all these details will be checked upon in detail. That is why we calling the other procedure as test of detail. So keep in mind, substantive procedures would be substantive analytical procedures and test of details in total. Now when I go for test of details, when I say about test of details will be testing the details. We already that testing the details to gather evidence through detailed inspection of invoices and documents or physical inspection of assets, etc. Now, to make you understand which all procedures or the actions we'll be doing is basically this AEIOU only. So instead in this AEIOU, which all things will be coming in substantive procedures, very very critical. Okay, analytical procedures we mentioned it will come. Enquiry will come. You can inquire with this particular management. Okay, confirmation you can consider. You can inspect documents also, inspect the assets also. But observation, will not be coming over there. This observation will not come over here. Why it will not come? Why it will not come? Anyone? Because observation is you're observing something has happened or not. This yes no option, no, this yes no answer should be only with the test of controls. Other things like no, substantive procedures always checks for the details. I need to get the details relating to it. I need to get the reasons relating to that. So that would be the case. And in your U will be only doing the recalculation. Reperformance will not come. Recalculation will be used over here. Now, going into the exam technique of any substantive procedures in general. Going into the exam technique of any substantive procedures in general, what we need to do is that we need to go for a format. This is again a format that is being used by Kaplan also, or in generally everyone will be using these kind of things. We need to write something known as ASO. So what you need to do to get marks? What you need to do? What you need to get? What you need to do to get the marks? Simple. Read this particular yellow thing over here. To get full marks, that is like they'll be giving you 1 mark per a well described, well discussed substantive procedures relating to any area. First one to ensure is that you are writing your procedures using ASO format. What is ASO format then? You are going to write your procedures using ASO. A stands for action, S stands for source, O stands for objective, which we will discuss in top. Okay, so we will be using for action, source, and objective. And wherever you write a particular procedure, it should have A. What you are going to do as an auditor, the audit procedure out of that AIOU. Source, from which document or which kind of information you are checking this particular or performing that procedures on, and O, for what purpose we are doing this particular thing. So action, source, and objective. So in order to do this, if you are framing your procedure like performing an action using a source to verify the objective, then you will be getting that full 1 mark over there. Now this is the first writing stage. Now what else you need to consider over here is that you need to read the procedure. Once you complete the writing, you need to read the procedure and ensure that whoever is not having that much financial knowledge also, or minimum financial knowledge if they are having, they are understanding what you have written. So more times what happens is that, guys, okay, it is like where students will be like, no, you think something in mind, you write something, but that is completely opposite of what you have considered. Okay, this can happen sometimes. You understood, okay, you want to write some particular sentence over there, right? You're writing something down, you're not checking what you have written, but what you have written might be like, no, it's a different kind of meaning you will be having over there. So that could be the problem in here. So that's why the second step to ensure that, okay, once you written a substantive procedures, read it once more and think that, okay, if let's say we will consider no knowledge of this particular thing, assume that your parents are not having that much knowledge into the auditing. If your parents, or let's say if a first year student, if any paper like no any student who is just coming into audit, if they read this particular sentence, can they understand what it is? If that is the case, you're perfect, your answer would be perfect relating to that. Okay, so point to be noted, I'm repeating that you need to follow an ASO format while framing or while drafting that substantive procedures. Plus, you need to read it after writing it to confirm that anyone without a basic or anyone with a basic knowledge can understand what you have written, so that there is nothing wrong with your drafting this thing. So second, double checking is very much essential relating to these particular areas over here. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now let me take you through, okay, a particular area. Now one more trick is there up the sleeve. Okay, if you are out of time in the exam, I have seen most of the students writing like no not complete procedures, they will just like no do this on that. Okay, do a verification of invoices of purchase, like that they will write, but for what purpose they will not write. This will be only getting you like no half a mark. half a mark will be received for. Like if you write like no three things over there or five things over there, five things into half a mark, you will be only receiving 2.5 marks for that particular thing. But instead you take that time and write complete 2 to 3 procedures, you will be getting like no 3 marks, which is more than that. So basically whenever you have less time also, rather than writing this, no, I don't expect that you will be short of time, but let's say if you are short of time, rather than going for like no going for like no simple points, write it completely with ASO over there. Okay, and this is one area. Okay, this is one area I will tell my students at SOE Global to use. You can use bullet points. So procedure number one bullet point. Procedure number two, second bullet point. This is the only thing where I am telling my students to do the bullet points. Rest of the other areas better to write in paragraph, unless it is a level 1 question verb like identify, list. If it is coming, yes, you can use bullet points. Other than that, it is not instructed for any of the students to use bullet points over there. Okay, it is not instructed for you to take bullet points over there. Now let's consider your this ASO in detail. Let's consider ASO in detail. ASO action. A stands for action. What is action? Action is nothing. You are looking at your AEIOU. What are the audit procedures the auditor will do? Action, what the auditor will do. What the auditor will do. So that will be depending upon the substantive procedures. Analytical procedures they can do. Okay, as we have mentioned, substantive analytical procedures, variance analysis, ratio analysis, proof in total they can do. They can go for inquiry with the management. They can obtain third party confirmations like we'll be getting no bank confirmations. We can get customer receivable confirmations. We can get payable confirmations. Okay, they can do inspection of the document in detail. They can do the physical inspection of assets. Okay, then recalculation, any kind of like no calculation performed by the client, they can take it and recalculate from their end and compare with it. We will be having like no recalculation of depreciation expense, so then calculate with, then compare with the calculation of the client. This can also happen over there. So action is what the auditor will do. Now this auditor will be doing this action on something that is the source, on which document, on what thing or which item the auditor will be using this action. And the short form I will give my students is DADA 3. DADA 3. DADA 3 is a short form that can be used to identify, that can be used to talk about what are the possible sources you will have over here. So what are the possible sources? D stands for directors. Directors are a major source over here, meaning like no, you will inquire. Now from the action you try to relate over here, you can inquire the directors. Okay, you can speak, discuss with the directors regarding any of the matters for getting more understanding. So directors as person. So D, first D stands for directors. Next D stands, next A stands for the physical assets. The physical assets you will be in possession. So assets, you might be looking at the non-current assets and inventory in most of the cases, which will be like no physically verified. So non-current asset, or it could be like no your inventory relating to that particular area. Now next D stands for documents. Okay, and A stands for accounting records. Now what is the difference between this documents and accounting records? Documents are those things that is being received from third parties. These are received from third parties like loan contracts, okay, confirmations, okay, then revenue contracts. Okay, likewise whatever items is like no having a third party involvement, that is known as your documents, whereas accounting records are the normal books that is being maintained by the entity over here. So we'll be having accounting records, journals, ledgers, fixed asset registers that would be maintained by the particular people in. So that would be your accounting records over there. And then 3 stands for third parties. Third parties, either inquiry to the third parties or getting confirmation from the third parties. Especially the 3 parties we'll be looking at here would be bank, trade receivables and trade payables. And one more party which is crucial relating to, especially when we are talking about some provisions or contingent liabilities, we'll be considering like no lawyers. litigation would be there. So we'll be getting a confirmation, or we'll be discussing with the lawyers what is the probability of this thing going a success, or the company will be losing it. So in order to arrive at the probability, in order to arrive a list of the pending cases and that their probability of winning or losing, we can always consult an external legal counsel. So that would be considered under third party as well. So sources, again, the auditor will apply the action or what they will be doing on the sources over here. So action on AEIOU on data 3, that is what we are doing now. Now, in order to completely get the full mark relating to this particular substantive procedures, what you need to do? You need to mention what is the purpose of this particular procedure. What is the purpose of this particular procedure? Very crucial. Okay. Now, one way to do this particular thing is you can mention, okay, to confirm this particular assertion, to confirm completeness of payables, I am doing this particular thing. To confirm existence of a non-current asset, I am doing this particular thing. So you can take in your assertions over here and use it for framing your answer over here. That is one thing. The other thing, sometimes we are not going to get to quote this particular assertions over here, but let's say that okay, for this purpose this is being done. For example, to get the reasonableness of whether this provision is enough or not, you are doing this particular thing. To get whether this amount was enough to provide for a particular expense, that okay, this is what we are considering. So if you are not sure about the assertion, if you can come up with that kind of thing also, you can get marks for that. And again, stating over here, okay, point to be noted, point to be kept in your mind. Okay, I would say it is always better not to put your objective if you are not sure about it. Again, it is always better to not to put your objective if you are not sure about that. But I want you guys to be sure about that particular thing. Now, if you are not sure, if you put a wrong assertion over there, examiner will know that you don't know the answer. So it is highly unlikely that you will be losing marks for that. So if you are not sure, if you are not confident, don't put the assertion, but try to come up with some kind of normal way of putting the purpose, like to confirm the completeness, maybe to look at the reasonableness of this particular thing. Okay, like that you can come up with some things which will be coming when you go through majority of the answer keys that will be seen in the revision kit or exam kit or study hub over there. Okay, now in revision kit or study hub also, they will be having some questions, will be having the action and source. They would not have mentioned the source over here. Sorry, they would not have mentioned the objective over there. But if you have not mentioned the objective over there, is it enough to secure the marks? Let's don't go that way. Let's consider putting the objective over there. So without the objective, you will not be getting the full marks over there. So let's try practicing writing the substantive procedures in that way. Now we have got the exam technique. I'll repeat the exam technique in summary once more. You need to write your answer using this ASO format. Okay. And this particular thing needs to be read once again once you have written to confirm that this whatever the procedure you have written over there is kind of readable and understandable by a common person. Okay, which is not having that much accounting knowledge, but a basic minimum knowledge if they have, they can understand on what you are trying to do. That is what you are considering. Now, how the questions will come. There are 5 bases in which you could receive questions relating to substantive procedures in an exam. 5 bases. I believe the thing is visible to you. The first one is as a general requirement SBK. They could ask you without touching your scenario, without touching your case study, write the procedures for some let's say additions. Write the procedures for additions of property plant equipment, and you will not have to. They will mention you don't have to refer to the case study scenario or case question above. You can write generally. So they would mention that. If they mention it is a general requirement SBK. Okay. If they give, this is very, very easier to score that particular marks on. You can directly write without touching any of the case related aspect over there. Now, the next thing is a specific question on the scenario. They will give you a scenario related thing. For example, they would give you a risk relating to some, let's say, accounts related, or they will give you like some example related thing. Okay, this company is having these accounts. Write procedures on these particular things. So that would be a specific question that would be relating to scenario. Or I would say that the company is going forward a restructuring. So just come with a restructuring provision related procedures. So specific scenarios. Okay. Or the third category could be specific account. They could ask you write the procedures on, write substantive procedures to gain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence on, let's say, account receivables. So you need to write over here. Sometimes they will go for the fourth option. The fourth option is a little more centric towards one particular specific requirement. The specific requirement would be out of this particular assertion, out of this particular account, there will be an assertion on that assertion. For example, I can always ask, okay, give me the procedures for completeness of property, plant and equipment additions. So account is mentioned, specific account, property, plant, equipment, in that specific thing additions, and in that additions specific assertion, completeness of that way also the questions can come. Okay, so for this three types which would come in a CRQ type, which would be now the substantive procedures will come in your section section B in question 30 mark question also, 20 marks 2 questions also it will come again. Okay, so last 20 mark question will be having around 15 marks dedicated to substantive procedures, and there will be 5 marks ideally will be there in a 30 mark and 20 mark question over there, so we'll be having around 25. So 25 plus there might be procedures relating to the next type, that is MCQs. Okay, will be choose from the options, which, like for example, if I'm taking choose from the option, okay, which of the following is not a audit procedure to detect or to check the valuation, something like that they can put, or which of the following is a substantive procedures to check the assertions, given assertions. So like that MCQ will come. Okay, so it could be an MCQ basis, or it could be the other way around as well. Okay, right. So I think now to show you the difference, between how you will be losing marks, how you can earn the marks, let's refer to these two things over here. Okay, assume the first one. Okay, this thing. Okay, A. Someone has written, obtain the list of additions from the client, total it and compare each item was included in the fixed assets register. Okay. Whether this could be a good procedure, we will use the exam technique. I have A coming up, obtaining is coming up, I have totaling it is coming up. So action is there, comparing is also being coming up over, action is there. Okay. Next thing, source. List of addition, source is also there, it's a document, list of additions from the client, source is also there. So this is actions which the person will be doing, this is source is also there. But are we looking at this is also fixed asset register also is a source. Okay, so are we considering an objective? O is missing. For what purpose we are doing, that is being missing. So you will not get any marks for this particular item over here. So because it's missing the O, it's missing the objective relating to that. So including this particular objective, how you can reframe this particular procedure as obtain the list of additions from the client, total it and compare each item was included in the fixed asset register to verify the completeness of addition. To verify the completeness of addition, you are trying whether this was being included in the fixed asset register. To verify, I did mention to verify the completeness of additions. So once you mention like that, it could be termed as a good procedure over there. Yes, we'll be going for that good procedure. Now, any kind of doubts so far relating to this particular thing we have mentioned? Anyone needs explanation relating to data 3? Anyone needs explanation relating to AEIOU? Anyone needs for relating to the objective thing, relating to the substantive procedures? Chat box with questions explains how to write. Yes, I'm going for that, Sumit. So right now, before that, is there any kind of doubt you have relating to the concept things over here? Okay, you can put it in the chat box if you have any. So let's get into the question that you have in your hand. First question that you'll be going in relating to could be, okay, relating to a bigger question over here. Okay, so the question is asking you, first thing, describe the audit procedures the auditor should perform. So very careful, guys. Okay, there are two ways the questions would be coming. If they are only asking, I would remind you again, okay, if they are only asking substantive audit procedures, if you are only asking substantive audit procedures, they will specifically mention in your question they are asking for substantive procedures. See the difference. In A, they are asking you describe the audit procedures, whereas in B, they are asking you describe the substantive procedures. So for B, you can only write substantive audit procedures, but for A, you are free to write audit procedures, and your audit procedures can involve test of controls as well. I am come again, I'll come again, I'll see again, I'll say again. Okay, if they are asking only audit procedures, your audit procedures will involve, the audit procedures will involve test of controls and substantive thing. But if they are asking only describe the substantive procedures, you don't have that choice. You have to only write the substantive procedures. So now let's focus on the audit procedure related thing. What they are asking, describe the audit procedures the auditor should perform in order to place reliance on the continuous counts of Tribeca company's year-end inventory worth 5 marks. So without even going to the area that is related to this particular thing, 5 marks are available over here. So meaning like I need to write 5 points or 5 well discussed points to get 5 marks over here. That is how it is being structured. So without any further delay, let's read through relating to the Tribeca company's year-end inventory concept. So let's go to the top. Okay, so Tribeca company manufactures. Tribeca company manufactures. Now the particular thing, it's now 1st July. Okay, you are the audit manager. You are the audit manager of Flaticon company. You are responsible for 2 audit clients, Tribeca company and Chelsea company. Okay, now in Tribeca company, they are manufacturing stationery products and they have a financial year end of 30th September 20x5. You are at 1st July. Again, you are at a planning stage kind of thing over here, or you can plan your audit procedures. Now, the interim audit is due to commence next week. So, interim audit will be starting at next week. So, what is the difference between interim and final audit? Interim audits are audit or some part of the audit can be performed at the period itself, within the period itself, and that will be done in the interim audit, especially relating to P&L items. We can do the procedures over there, not all the procedures. The balance is remaining over there. So you can refer to the notes that has been shared with you guys. Okay, or you can check the textbook relating to that, like, no, what is the difference between interim audit procedures and full audit procedures, okay, or final audit procedures. Now over here you have a profit before income tax of 19.1 million and forecast year-end inventory is right now 8.8 million. So year-end inventory is considered as 8.8 million and profit before income tax is 19.1 million. Whenever they have given you the materiality basis, so there are 3 materiality bases if you can remember. We have revenue, revenue, the base is 0.5 percentage to 0.5 percentage to 1 percentage. Then we have total assets, they are giving a range as 1 percentage to 2 percentage, and then we will have the profit before interest and tax or the operating profit, that would be basically about 5 percentage to 10 percentage. So materiality will be assessed using this particular thing. Generally for audit exam purposes, you can safe to assume the lower end of this particular thing, lower end of this particular values. Now over here they have given you profit before income tax. So profit before income tax, lower end is 5 percentage. So if I am calculating 5 percentage of this particular thing, what would be the range we'll be looking at? If you're calculating, okay, 5 percentage of, okay, how many million? 19.1 million. We'll be looking at 0.955 or 0.96 million or 955,000 would be your particular materiality lower range. So anything below that can be ignored, anything above that needs to be checked, and that would be material. So ideally the materiality has nothing to do with the procedures, it will have the next part, it will be having on the next part, but let's consider, since it came, I just explained that particular thing to you. Okay, now I think the materiality concept is clear for you as well, right? So can we add multiple actions in? Shweta Ashwini is coming with, can we add multiple actions in the answers? Meaning in the actions I didn't get you. Okay, can you elaborate on your questions? Then I can help you out with that. So Arif is coming. Can we use bullet point for substantive procedures? Yes, you can use bullet point for substantive procedures, but doesn't mean that you are leaving only bullet points over there. You need to explain that well. So you'll be using bullet points. You are allowed to use it. Okay, right. Yes, Sumit has given like no the percentages clearly over here. Right. Thanks for that as well. So Ashwini, can you give like no what is relating to this multiple actions in the answer? What is it relating to? If you can give me, then I'll explain on that particular thing. I didn't get your context of the question. That is why. Okay. Now let's read through. Now let's read through the next paragraph in the question over here. Now we know that, okay, what is material? Something about that particular thing is going to be material. Now let's read through the question. Inventory. Inventory in previous years, Tribeca company has carried out a full inventory count and its warehouse in order to inventory count at its warehouse in order to confirm inventory quantities. However, this proved to be too disruptive for the business. Therefore, in October 2004, they have introduced in October 2004, Tribeca company implemented a continuous inventory counting system with counts carried out on a monthly basis. Counts done on a monthly basis. Company's internal audit department conducted testing on the implementation. So, IAD, internal audit department, conducted testing on the new system. Continuous inventory counting process involves counting all lines of inventory periodically throughout the year, so that by the end of the year all lines have been counted over there. Any errors noted during the monthly counts are adjusted in the inventory system after the completion of the count. So any errors noted, okay, after the completion of the count, it will be adjusted in the inventory system also. So now relating to this particular thing, what all could be your audit procedures? They have not mentioned you what all could be your substantive procedures. They have asked you what all could be your audit procedures relating to this. So what could be your answer, guys? If anyone can list out something like, no, we'll build on that particular thing. What do you think would be like? Inquire, inspect in the same point. Same point, if you inquire and inspect, if you include yeah, possible only, but better break it and give. Better break it and give, because it will be considered as separate actions. If you include in one, it would be considered as one only. So better break it and give. Okay. Physically verify the inventory count with the inventory register for existence. There itself, there is a particular thing, something wrong over there. Okay. How do you physically verify the inventory count? You cannot verify the inventory count. You can verify the inventory. You can verify the inventory, not the inventory count over there. Okay. So what all things you can do over here? To correct you, Sumit. Okay. Physical verification of inventory comes up. Okay. Attend the inventory count. Attend the inventory count, and you will not be comparing that with the inventory register. Attend the inventory count and verify that the count instruction, there is some particular document called count instruction. So count instruction has been followed by the particular team. Now I'll just stop you over there. Okay. So now let's see what is the total marks available for this. What is the total marks available for this particular question? We have, for the relating to this particular paragraph, 5 marks available. As we mentioned, there are 5 marks available, meaning like 5 marks, that is equal to 5 points or 5 procedures you need to make. Out of this, okay, At least two. I would say at least two. 2 points should be related to the scenario. Minimum. Two at least. Two at least should be related to the scenario over here. What they have discussed over there. On that you need to place at least two. If you include to like no three also, that is fine. Two at least should be there. Rest of the three, okay, general procedures, general procedures, general procedures by linking to the company name, by linking the company name. So we'll be having these two things. So there will be a 5 marker, there will be 5 marks available relating to that. So you just need to write like no 5 pointers, and out of that two should be relating to your whatever things that is being mentioned over there. Okay, and other three can be general, but you need to you need to put in the name of that particular thing here. Again, Sumit is coming with like no discuss with the management what is the reason for change in the inventory counting process, but that is already clear over here. There is disruption over there, so again stating that will not give you or will not gain you that much marks. Half a mark is there, but will not give you that much marks relating to that here. So how do you gain this particular marks? Okay, let's list down some procedures. Let's list down some procedures. Okay, ideally for any procedures we'll be going with that particular thing also. Ideally with any procedures, the way to look at this particular thing is what is the issue that is given in this particular para. So what is the issue that is given in this particular paragraph relating to inventory? The issue is that there was a previous inventory count that was periodic inventory count. Now they have changed into a continuous inventory count system. We are going for a continuous inventory counting system, which will be counted on a monthly basis. Which will be counted on a monthly basis. Yes, what have been considered like no the point made by Sumit over here. Discuss with the management what is the reason for change. That can be included. That can be included. Okay. So now the procedure number one, I can take over here. What would be the procedure number one? Okay, I'm just taking it up so that I think you can, it's visible for you also. So procedure number one, discuss with the management, discuss with the management, okay, regarding, as you mentioned over there, discuss with the management and understand the problems we had, problems they had or we had, problems they had, okay, relating to inventory count, okay, prior year, and how new system okay, rectified it. Or you can also ask for, okay, is there any other issues? So this particular thing would be your first point. Okay, spot on. So you can see, okay, action, discuss, okay, management, that would be the source you will be considering. Purpose, to understand the problems we had and how they have resolved it. So purpose is also, ASO is already hidden inside this particular thing. I believe that is clear for you. Now, what could be the second thing? I need to look into this particular thing. They are mentioning a particular statement. The company's internal audit department conducted testing on the implementation of the new system. Okay. So we can consider again, they have done this particular thing. You can again discuss the test results of new system, okay, with the internal audit department, IAD, internal audit department, discuss the test result of the new system with the internal audit department, and the actions taken and the actions taken by the IAD when problems were found out. When problems were found out. Okay, so meaning you don't have to have this ASO over here, because you don't have to follow ASO in this thing, because they have not asked substantive procedures. They have asked you like, no, the audit procedures only relating to A part. Okay, now what would be the next thing that you can write? What would be the next thing you can write? Yes, anyone? Review the IAD before using the work. Yes, review. Yes, Sumit, that is a good thing. So before using the work of an internal audit department, you need to review their scope, review their qualification. Okay, can we use that particular thing? We need to perform that particular thing, then only you can trust that. Yes, that is also an audit procedures we can do. Yes. What else? What else? They are ensuring like, no, next line, they are ensuring the next line. Okay, the continuous inventory counting process involves counting all lines of inventory periodically throughout the year, so that the end of the year all the line item has been counted. So ask the management. uh, no, no, no. We will not go. That would be too much general, Sumit. We will not be going for any third-party inventory present in the warehouse, since they have not mentioned anything as such over here. Here the problem is with like, no, here the risk. See, you need to tackle your mind into like what is the problem given over there. You need to get the procedures around it. Here the problem is the inventory count is not working properly. They have had problem with inventory count, which was affecting the inventory quantity. Now we are doing procedures to get confirmation or clarity or a confidence on the inventory count over here as an auditor. So your procedures should be more towards that rather than moving away to other areas. Work in progress versus finished inventory. Again, Vignesh, it is out of the blue thing over here. Here the procedures is on. Now if I go to the question, guys, very specifically, one moment. What is the question over here? Describe the audit procedures on continuous count. So you need to have the procedures on the continuous count. So you should be focusing around the continuous count, not with any other part of the inventory. Okay, it should be on the continuous counts over there. You get that? Read the question. The requirement is on the continuous count. So relating to the continuous counts on the inventory count related procedures, if you can give, yes, you will get marks. But if you mention like this, like no work in progress, third party thing, you will be no. Note down the last GDN and GRN number for cutoff also, you will not get marks over here. Why? Because the question is asking you the count procedures, inventory count procedures. They are not asking you inventory values. They are not asking you total inventory. The process of counting, no. On that count to verify, the statements are not coming. That count verified related thing only they are asking over there. So it should be fixed on the count, not on the inventory in general. So two procedures what you have written is based on the count only. Now you can make use of the sentences that is given in the question. Now the third sentences they are saying is what? The continuous inventory counting process involves counting all lines of inventory periodically throughout the year, so that by the end of the year all lines have been counted. So meaning they are estimating that all the lines of inventory, all the lines meaning that a product can be considered as a line. Okay, a product A, product B, product C. So that would be considered as a line of productions. So we can consider that particular thing, and we can see that, okay, inquire with the management or inspect the count document to see that whether count has been performed in all locations as at the year end. That can we do in that can be done over there. So third thing could be, we can do a third thing could be, if we are putting on this particular thing, since they are mentioning over here, the third thing could be, okay, discuss. You can discuss with the management or review the count sheet Review the count sheets to check, okay, all all lines are covered as at the end of year. As at the end of year. So all lines they have considered this particular count as at the end of the year. Fourth procedure, I can go with like no, since they are giving count sheet. I think someone has mentioned that particular thing in the live chat over here. Okay. Uh, okay, review the last year inventory count working paper. Yes, you can go for no, review the last year inventory count working paper for any of the issues which will not be repeated over here in this particular year. Yes, review last year inventory counting working paper is again, Sumit, it's a half completed thing. So you need to state the purpose, start the purpose to verify or to have an understanding of what were the problems faced by the company in the last year. So we'll need to consider that as well. Fourth one would be that. Fifth one, anyone can come up with the fifth point. Any other procedures? Yes. Chat box. Any other procedures? Okay. Here Ashwini mentioned verify opening count with previous closing count. Yes. Okay. Quantity was opening quantity and the closing quantity. Previous closing quantity with the opening quantity of the current year. You can consider that as well. But we'll be counting at different dates. So the previous closing and this thing cannot be managed because this is a not a periodic count. This is a kind of like no. Instead of that, you can frame it as like no. Verify the movement. You can recheck the movement of this particular thing with during the count. During the count, if there were any movement, you can inquire that particular thing that you can mention. Okay, and the common thing you can write for any of the inventory count procedures. I'm giving you a free point. The common thing that you can write for any of the inventory count procedures would be point number 4. If I am going to put it over here, okay, there will be always a count sheet. So relating to this only. Okay. So I think I am getting 4 over here. Like no, we will get okay. Review or inspect the count instruction sheet that is given. Review the count instruction sheet and observe okay, the count teams are following it properly. So this would be another thing. So fourth one. Again, the fifth one I can consider from here. Okay, we can violate the count, meaning like no, you are attending count over here. You can tell that no, we can performing like no. The fifth thing would be you can consider like no, perform test counts. Your detail you can write, since I am not having that much time over here, that much space over here. I'm just mentioning test count. Test count we can do it by two bases. One is like no, floor to sheet, and the other one is sheet to floor. So if you are doing sheet to floor, that will ensure existence. Okay, if you are doing floor to sheet, that will ensure completeness. So you're performing test counts while you are attending the inventory count. So this much point, there will be other points also. Okay, again, there is one last point that is mentioned over here. Any errors noted during the monthly counts are adjusted in the inventory system after completion of the count. So you can have your sixth item also over here. Recheck, review the adjustment made to the inventory records each month. Okay, in order to gain understanding of the level of differences arising on month basis. So since they are making that errors, that can be checked with you over there as well. Okay, so ideally we got like no 6-7 points over there. Out of that, any 5 that you are comfortable with, that you can consider. So again, inspect whether the count is done on a regular basis. Yes, that is also you can consider. At least rather than putting that is on a regular basis, to adapt a little bit, Sumit, what you can do it over here is inspect whether the count is done on a regular basis or done at least once for all product line within that particular year. That could be your count procedures we can look into over there. So we have got into this particular procedures over here. So anything can be done, anything. See, relating to this particular part, since they are asked only the audit procedures, not the substantive procedures, you can even consider a control also inside this particular thing. Okay, but if you are feeling like you will get confused by adding the control thing, you can go the substantive procedures only over here as well. That is not a problem. Okay, I believe relating to this particular part, inventory count related thing, what are the procedures in general, you would be considering that. So if you need further understanding relating to the procedures that would be done during count, either you guys can generate to the total notes I have shared with the SOE Global students, or you guys can relate to like the inventory count procedures which will be there in the uh, Kaplan chapter number 10, and you will be having in the substantive, meaning like substantive procedure section of the your this thing, your study hub also. You can refer to that and you can go to that. They will give you before the inventory count what are the audit procedures, during the count what are the audit procedures, and after the count what are the audit procedures. You can easily have a general question, SBK question also on this, like around like 3 instances this was being repeated in the exam. So you refer to the exam kit also. In the exam kit they have given for some questions what are the procedures before and after and during the inventory counts. At least like 5-6 points are there. Just consider taking it out and go through that. It is a very good area where people will be confusing you, or the examiner will be confusing you with this particular thing. So people often tend to give what kind of audit procedures? They tend to give the audit procedures relating to the inventory in total, whereas the procedures that is being asked is related to the inventory count. I hope that suffice this particular area of like inventory count related thing. Let's go to the next item. So the second question is here. Describe. Always read the question very carefully, guys. What is being asked about you? Now, you need to describe substantive procedures. Here, it is mentioned again, substantive procedures. The auditor should perform to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence in relation to Tribeca companies, purchases and other expenses. So they just method a specific account. Relating to the specific account, purchases and other expenses, what all audit procedures you can give to get to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Now another way to look at whether they have been asked you about a substantive procedure or a combination of procedures is that in a combination of procedures you will not see this particular thing. You will not see this particular thing. Obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. You will not be seeing over that. Audit evidence related thing, this statement will be coming only in relation to substantive procedures. So this means you need to write only the substantive procedures. Okay. Now generally again we are writing this particular thing. Before writing any procedures related to this thing, you can go to that particular paragraph. See what is the issue there, and based on that you frame two things. Then you can go in general relating to purchases and other expenses. So let's look into this particular area. So Tribeca company produces monthly management accounts which contain year-to-date information for the statement of profit or loss. Purchases and other expenses for the 9 months to June 20x5 are 51.2 million, and to June 20x4 were 57.5 million. Purchases and other expenses for the 9 months to June 20x5 are 51.2 million, and to June 20x4 were 57.5 million. So to June, we are right now standing where? We are right now standing 1st July. Your year end is going to be 30th September. So you are going to go for interim thing. So you will be checking the variance or movement till the before. So 1st July, so till June you will be checking. So you will be considering the variance between the 6-month and 6-month things over there. So you can go for that. So 51.2 million in the current year as of now, and we have 57.7 million in June 20x4 over here. And Flatiron will undertake testing of purchase and other expenses during both interim and final audit. So they are giving you a hint. We will be doing procedures during interim and final audit. So if they are giving over here interim and final audit, meaning you need to give procedures Okay, or you can give procedures which can be performed during the interim stage, which can be performed during the final stage also, final audit also. Okay, so any procedures you guys can think relating to this purchases and other expenses. Yes. Okay. Yes, guys. Okay. Chat box is there. You can put in like no whatever you think. Then I will give you the easy way to score marks relating to any P and L related items. Easy way to score marks relating to an P&L related items, be it revenue, be it purchases, be it expenses, be it any other income that will be coming in P&L. The best way to do, or even for a balance sheet item to an extent, the best way to score marks over here would be starting off this particular thing with an analytical procedure. Starting off this thing with an analytical procedures. Since they have already given, okay, over here you can mention, okay, you can mention over here the purchases and other expenses for the 9-month period till June 20x5 should be compared against June 20x4, and any significant variances should be investigated. This is a general thing you will write, but in here they have given you that amount. So you have 51.2 million current, it was 57.5 million in the past. So you should like know, as per the review of this particular thing, there is a variance of like know the difference between these two things, and you need to ask the management, inquire with the management why there is a difference, why there is a particular difference relating to that, and what are the reasons for that particular thing, you can inquire. So you can start with that particular point that is given over there, right? We'll be having that particular point that is given over there. Now whenever we will be looking at multiple item like thing, like no, we'll be having a lot of purchase invoices, we'll be having a lot of sales invoices. One other procedure you can come up with, one another procedures you can come up with is casting. What is casting? What is casting? So guys, I am just noting down relating to like no, relating to this purchases over here. Point number 1 I have noted down over. What is the point number 1 we have discussed? What is the point number 1 we have discussed over here just now? Point number 1, the audit procedures relating to, okay, substantive procedures relating to this purchases and other expenses. Okay, compare the 20x5 revenue, not revenue, here it is purchase, 20x5 purchase and other expense. I'm shorting it on purchase and other expense with 20x4 figures, 20x4 figures, and investigate or inquire. Rather than investigating, if you put investigate, that will be the management thing, and ask or discuss with the management, discuss with the management the reason for decrease, the reason for the decrease. So here you can mention that amount also, so that it is being getting stick to. So 20x5, that is 51.2 million, okay, and 20x4 it was be I think like 55.7 million, that thing. So you can mention in brackets the figures also. So that would be the first thing. So substantive procedures, compare and inquire, discuss, two actions. Okay, we'll be looking at like no analytical procedures, the data given like no, you're comparing that particular thing, reason is for the reason, why the reason for decrease, why the reason for the movement, you need to know, that is the reason that will be coming up. That is first thing. Okay, so whenever we are again having like no a list you are available with, you will mention for this particular, okay, obtain the detailed obtain the detailed purchase listing obtain the detailed purchase listing from the client and cast it and agree. Cast it and total it and agree to the trial balance. Cast it and agree to the trial balance. Second thing. So why do you cast and this thing trial balance? For ensuring completeness. For ensuring completeness. So second thing. So these two things, like this analysis, point number one. The second point that can be related to the scenario also, that is giving you easy marks also. This can be used in any of the expenses. This can be used in any of the income or revenue related thing. You just need to change the figures. You just need to change the numbers over here. Clear? Clear? Then what else we can do here? Since we have already linked to this particular thing, what else we can do? What all procedures we can do generally relating to a purchase or other expenses? Again, analytical procedures we can suggest. If you want, you can compare this current year figure with the budgeted 9-month budgeted figure and investigate or review with this particular thing. No, investigate any significant variances by discussion with the management. You can consider that as well. You can select a sample of invoices. Okay, and compare that to the detailed purchase listing after the year end and the date of supply to ensure these expenses are relating to the current year or previous cut off of that particular thing. You obtain that particular GDN, or let's say goods delivered or goods received notes. So GRN, as per that you will compare that thing whether it is belonging to this particular period or any other particular period. Clear on that? So third one. Fourth one, relating to purchases in general. Okay, you can consider month on month movement. Again, analytical procedure, month on and month movement of purchases and other expenses, and any significant fluctuation needs to be investigated by the management, investigated by the auditor with in discussion with the management. So investigated by the auditor in discussion with the management. So that will also come as your particular point. Okay, right? Yes. Now cutoff is very clear. It's GRN. So select a sample of GRNs after and before and after the year end, and check for the details. Agree to the invoice and the details purchase listing to ensure expenses recorded in the correct period, expenses recorded at the correct amount. So these ways we can write down that particular procedures over here. Okay, since purchases and expenses does not contain any very significant judgment over there, if you are involving any significant judgment, I can easily put in another point which can earn you the marks. If there is a significant judgment or estimate being used, you can raise a request letter, meaning work we need to get a written representation from the people who is concerned. Okay, that will be signed. So which will be stating that no, this and this is correct only, like that. The statement from the directors or the statement from the management we need to consider over there. I believe that is clear for you. Right? So like that we will be writing down again 5 pointers relating to this thing. So 2 things I have already written. We can rephrase that particular thing, get the marks over there. Okay, so the sources available relating to a purchase would be a purchase invoice, purchase return note you will be having. Okay, then you will be having contracts over there, bank statements over there. Okay, purchase listing related to each this thing would be there. Okay, so all of those things can be used for writing down the procedures over here. But generally easy way to do this thing is writing down 1 or 2 analytical procedures, then stating the simple thing at the top, list is there, you cast it and agree to the trial balance for completeness. That is a common trick which we can do in over here. But in this particular paragraph of purchases, they didn't mention any specific risk over there, only that half of that particular thing is over there. So we'll be just looking into 9-month structure, so we need to extrapolate also that is the only thing that is pending over there. So I hope that B part is also kind of clear. Now the C part, let's consider you guys will be solving the C part. What is the C part asking? CPOT is asking you again, describe the substantive procedures the auditor should perform to obtain sufficient and audit appropriate evidence in relation to directors' bonuses. So just like inventory count, guys, directors' bonuses or directors' emoluments are very, very, very critical, very, very, very important. So procedures on the directors' bonuses, directors' encashment, directors emoluments or directors benefit, whatever the term you will be using it, so it would be like very, very important relating to this particular thing, and it is an area where significant judgments are coming. You can consider like getting a written representation from the directors over there. So that would be one thing, but you will not be directly writing that as that it as a first point. You need to go through that particular scenario and we will consider that. So director bonuses, whatever they have given. The board of directors of Chelsea Company. The board of directors of Chelsea Company is made up of 9 directors. It's made up of 9 directors. Each director receives an annual bonus which is detailed in their contract of employment. So they are receiving an annual bonus which is detailed in their contract of employment. Okay, we have 9 directors. The bonus is based on the increase in profit before income taxes as compared to prior year. So the bonus is linked to what? Bonus is linked to PBIT as compared to the prior year. The board has agrees the bonus based on a draft profit before income tax, which is then paid in June each year prior to finalization of year-end financial statement. The current year bonus was paid to each director on June 20x5, and the costs were accrued and recognized within the payroll expense for the 31st May 20x5. Separate disclosure of bonus for each director is required by local legislation over there. So there are pointers on which you can write on the procedures. Point number 1. Okay, they need separate disclosure. So disclosure related, I can write one. Okay, now they are telling the cost was accrued as liability over there. Point number 2, I can get a list and check that okay, the accrual has been the calculation of accrual, and that accrual has been there in the payroll expense or as a payable liability over there. Second thing. Okay, third thing, recalculation of bonus. Third things, recalculation of bonus, which is relating to this particular thing. Then fourth thing, comparing your bonus that is being calculated with the contract of employment. Whatever bonus has been calculated, that is being calculated to this particular thing. Okay, and I can also get the fifth one. I need to get a written representation from the directors relating to this. So you can get a written representation as well. So meaning like we'll be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 itself over here. We can also go for additional thing, individual basis, the total basis and the individual basis. What all will be the split of this particular thing you can obtain and total and compare with this particular thing. And again, they are claiming that the year and current year bonus is being paid. The current year bonus is being paid. You can consider over here 6. Current year bonus is being paid. Compare the bonus element that is being paid to the bank statement, trace it to the bank statement and mark it is being paid. If not paid, transfer it to the liability for that particular year. So these are the things that will be coming relating to the directors bonuses over here. That would be again substantive procedures relating to that. So obtain the bank statement. Yes, Deepak. Obtain the bank statement, inspect the bonus paid post year end, and agree that with the FS to ensure the reasonability. We are not paying the post year end over here. We are paying within the year. So be careful relating to that. We are paying within the year itself. You're paying that within the year. So that is what we need to consider relating to that. I believe this one would be understandable for all of you. This was clear for all of you. So in this particular concept, this is how you draft. You need to ensure like that ASO format over there. You can write on that particular thing in that case. And again, the timing in your thing, you need to read through that particular thing to understand, are you referring to something in the past, are you referring something to into the current when you are writing this particular thing. It should be based related to the current nature we are right now auditing. So substantive procedures would be in that way only. Right. Now let's go to the last portion of this particular thing, which is relating to any specific area, which is again subsequent events, I would say. Let's consider subsequent events in total over here, so that you have a clarity relating to how you tackle. Sometimes what happens, the last part of this particular question could be either on an audit report or maybe a CAM audit paragraph, which would be there in the reporting. Okay, Yes. Okay, so what you will be considering over here would be, it is now 24th, so now that has been like no past after September, 24th August, 24th August now, no, 24th August. Okay, so we are going to the audit of Chelsea company is almost complete and the auditor report is due to be signed shortly. The following matter has been brought to your attention. So what is your year end in this particular case, guys, relating to Chelsea? Chelsea company's year end was 31st May. Chelsea's company's year end was 31st May, and they have a different profit and different total liability. So your basic thing, that particular thing that will be considering whether it is material or not, that we need to consider based on the two other things over here that we need to calculate separately. Now coming down to the scenario, 31st May was the year end. Okay, you are right now at 24 August, so you are going to finish the audit report, you are going to sign that particular thing shortly. Now the following matter has been brought to your attention. A key supplier of Chelsea company, again highlight, key supplier, a major party, okay, company whose name is Fifth Company, is going to sue the company for breach of contract, alleging that the company has failed to complete an order for the purchase of a significant item of plant and machinery. So there is going to be a suing that is going to there is going to be a case filed on 24th. When they are, the case is filed on 24th 20x5. The lawsuit was, okay, the lawsuit was filed prior to the year end. So lawsuit was filed prior to the year end. Right now the lawsuit was filed prior to the year end, and the sum claimed by the supplier claims 0.6 million, and this has been disclosed as a contingent liability in the notes to the draft financial statement. So obviously, if you don't know whether it is probable, it is only a possible chance, or if it's only like no, you're not sure about that, this would be coming only as a contingent liability, and that contingent liability will be considered over here in the draft financial statements. But right now 24th August, the audit report has not been yet signed. Okay, now one correspondence you have received that Fifth Company is indicating that Fifth Company is willing to settle the case for a payment of 0.4 million by Chelsea company. It is likely that Chelsea company will agree to this. So now there is a probability that it is likely, meaning we have a more thing, it's not possible thing, it is likely that Chelsea will be agreeing this to thing. So it is an event after reporting date where they have a correspondence that they are going to settle this particular amount at 0.4 million. So they need to show a particular provision rather than a contingent liability as at the year end, because this is an event that is proving that something was there as at the year end. Right now you got a correspondence that what is the proper thing that would be coming up. So it is probability comes, so possibility change. Now instead of contingent liability, now we need to show it as a provision. Show it as a provision over there, provision for legal cases. That would be the case, you need to show it over here. But anyway, see the question. First question is, explain whether 20x5 financial statement of Chelsea company require amendment in relation to this matter. Obviously yes, it needs amendment in relation to the matter, because you got a correspondence on 24th August, okay, before the audit report is being signed. So that needs to be amended from contingent liability to provision of 0.4 million relating to that. That is what we are considering. Then, so that is the first part. That is the first part. But by writing not a one sentence, you will not get this particular thing. You need to explain in detail over here for 5 mark, 5 pointers. No. So you need to write. Okay. So we will state this particular thing, the thing in question. We'll first state what? We'll first state, okay, Fifth Company, right? Fifth Company claimed 0.6 million in the prior year. Okay, and relating to that, contingent liability disclosure is being made. Already disclosure is made. So disclosure is made. Okay, but now correspondence subsequent to the year end, subsequent to the, I'm shortening it down, subsequent to the year end, correspondence says, now it is, correspondence says they have agreed to settle at 0.4 million. Okay, so now likely that they will go for that, likely to take it, the company is likely to take it. If they are likely to take it, this particular thing, okay, although this was being settled, the agreement was relating to settlement was after the year end, but this proves that that condition lawsuit is already there as per the IAS 10 as on the year end of 31st May. So will be an adjusting event, so we'll adjust this particular thing by replacing. So we need to replace contingent liability with provision. You will consider we need to replace the contingent liability with the provision of again 0.4 million over there. Okay, if you are not doing this, the provisions would be understated. Okay, now whether this item is material or not, this calculation is also very relevant, whether this item is material or not. So 0.4 million as a percentage of profit, the profit that is being noted by Chelsea as how much? The profit that is being noted by Chelsea as 5.3 million, 5.3, and total liabilities of 13.2. Okay, so we'll consider 5.3. Okay, 0.4 as a percentage of 5.3. Similarly, 0.4 as a percentage of 13 million, I guess 13 million. Yeah, 13.2 million. 13.2 million. So we let's need to consider what is the percentage. I'm just putting the figures over here. So equal to, okay, 0.4 divided by the profit, that thing is 5.3 million. 5.3 will give you 0.075, that is 7.5 percentage, which is above the minimum thing. 7.5 percentage is above 5 percentage, right, which is above the materiality rate. So that would be material again. Now if I'm considering the rest of the thing, 0.4, okay, divided by 13.2, okay, if we consider it as 3 percentage, it's 3 percentage of liability. Okay, so liability normally consider the total assets. Total assets would be 1 to 2 percentage. So liabilities, it is coming as 3 percentage, above 3 percentage. Okay, so in that case, in both cases, it would be material. It would be material, so it should be adjusted. You cannot ignore that particular thing. These are material in this particular case. Understood relating to this? Understood relating to this particular thing? How we are claiming like no materiality is important relating to this thing also. Materiality calculation you will be showing off, will be gaining will be gaining 1 marks at least. 1 mark at least. That is only the first part of the question. That is only the first part of the question. Now you are considering the second part. The second part is asking you, what is the second part of the question? Describe two audit procedures performed in order to confirm conclusion on a required amendment, whether we need an amendment or not, and the conclude on that particular thing, whether we need an amendment relating to that or not. What are the two procedures we can do relating to this? Pretty easier, no? We can do two procedures. What are the two procedures we can do? Number one, to arrive at your probabilities over here, inquire with your, this is a legal case, no, inquire with the lawyer, or we can say inquiry or get a confirmation, or get a confirmation from lawyer, okay, regarding the likelihood of, regarding the likelihood meaning the probability, likelihood of, okay, 0.4 million dollars as a full and final settlement, as a full and final settlement. Okay, that is one procedure you can. So if the probability you can get from the lawyer, you will be confirming that, no, that would be the thing over here. And again, there they mentioned there is a communication between the supplier and you. So meaning like supplier and the company review the correspondence, review the correspondence review the correspondence between the company and the supplier to confirm the agreement of, or confirm that amount of settlement, confirm the agreement of settlement, confirm the agreement of settlement at 0.4 million. This also we can consider. So two things only needed, so we can put that. Another one is review your post year and bank ledger account and bank statement for the 0.4 million payment. So meaning after the year end, if they have agreed, obviously they will be making that particular payment. So you can verify whether the actual payment is made or not, or you can discuss with the management in a particular case whether it is probable that they will be paying that 0.4 million and settle the case with fifth company to obtain a written representation. So if the management is saying yes, we'll go for that, get a written representation that they are going to proceed with settlement based on this particular basis. These are the two audit procedures that you'll be looking inside this particular thing. Are we clear? Are we clear relating to this particular area? Okay, so that's it with your substantive procedures. That's it with your substantive procedures. And again, I'm giving you that particular hint over here again, guys. Okay, whenever something is given, some item is given, the point to be noted is that you get in. Okay, Sumit, especially listen carefully. You look inside that particular paragraph against which you need to give the substantive procedures, understand what is the major issue over there. On that major issue, okay, how the auditor can verify the things, that will be written at least for 2 pointers. 2 procedures should be based on that. Rest of the things you can build on the rest of the sentences, or else even if you write generally also but linking the company's name, you will be getting marks. But ideal thing to do is make use of the sentences in the question to come up with your procedures over there. Is it clear for you guys? Is it clear for you guys? Ashwini, for you it is clear? Vignesh? Right. So, yes. So, we'll be going with the next element, the next portion relating to this particular thing. So, substantive procedures, even if it is a very vast area, ideal thing to go for, like, no, ideal thing to go for. Now, let's consider, I'll write down here itself, okay, how to solve any area. How to solve any area of a substantive procedures, okay. Ideally, the questions will come. Ideally, the question will come for 5 marks. Ideally, the question will come for 5 marks. Point number 1 related to question scenario. You should take what is the issue. Basically, scenario. Point number 2 also, it is related to the question scenario. Same. Okay, I'll write down again. It should be related to question scenario. Okay, specifically mentioning what is the issue. What is the issue in the paragraph? What is the issue in the paragraph? Okay, third point you can write on. The third point you can write on. Okay, any analytical procedures, can be any analytical procedures which can be used, applicable. Okay, so what can we do? Analytical procedures over here, normally prior year to current year comparison, current year to budget comparison, okay, or month on month relating to expenses and revenues, okay, month on month analysis, month on month analysis. What is the movement over that month on month analysis also considered over here. So any analytical procedures, the third point you can put in over there. So if you are putting the second and fourth also, third and fourth also as analytical procedures, that is also fine. Okay, fourth point, okay, make use of sentences, make use of sentences in question and try to test that, try try to verify that. Rather than tester, try to verify that. So you'll write down a procedure to verify that. So you'll make use of this particular thing. And fifth item, you can use this anything, but let's say that if judgments are involved, if judgments or estimates are involved in that particular account, what you will need to consider? Okay, obtain written representations. Obtain written representation. So ideally, these 5 things can help you. Only write written representation. Written representation applies only when there is a judgment or estimates are there, or either it is, or the other way this would be required is when, okay, I think it will not be visible for you. Other way this written representation will be visible would be when it is required by a standard. Which standard? When it is required by an international standards on auditing. So either judgments or estimates are there, or where it is required by an ISA. So basic examples of where it be required, like where it's a implication of a fraud, okay, where we'll be having majorly fraud, okay, and again this judgment thing only that's coming up. Fraud coming, that will be required by the thing. You can refer to that particular area to gain more understanding relating to that. So ideally, you would be having these 5 things. If you follow this particular thing, you would be easily getting that particular mark relating to substantive procedures. And again, never forget to use the ASO aspect. How to frame, you would have considered now. From where you can frame, that is just 5 points. How to frame, you should use the ASO format, always relating to that. I hope that is clear. Now, let's move to the second part of our session today, that is towards the reporting part. Now, relating to reporting, there are 2 things that can come in your question. One is relating to the impact on the auditor's report relating to some issues that they have been shown over there. So impact relating to that particular thing, or else the second thing would be relating to key audit matter paragraph. This is an area that might come for 5 marks for you. That could come for 5 marks for you. Okay. It can come, it cannot come. It could be either CAM, it could be impact on audit report. That is the examiner choice. That is your luck, which question is coming. But I would say there is a standard answer for this. You just need to prepare that standard answer, remove here and there what is the figures, adjust that figures in this particular thing. You will get a standard answer. You will get that standard marks of 5 over there, or at least out of 5 you will get 4 out of that particular thing if you are using the standard format. Okay, so let's, without further delay, let's look into that standard format over here. But before that, let's touch on your that possible reporting solutions. Okay, you can look into reporting tab over here. Okay, there are so many things that is being taken, but I'll just take you through the audit opinion that can have on this particular thing. So we'll see. Okay, you can see on the screen. Okay, there are 2 things that will be affecting this particular audit opinion. One is your misstatements in the financial statement. Second one is the limitation of scope that is faced by the auditor. Either that is being forced by the company, or the company itself doesn't have any choice. For example, you are asking for some evidences and the company is saying we will not provide, it is confidential nature. So that is limitation of scope created by the company. Whereas some fire happened and all the accounting records has been burned away, so that they didn't had any backup also. In that case, what we are looking in here would be it's a limitation that is not forced by the management, it is coming from outside part. Okay, now if the misstatement or limitation scope of is immaterial, you will be going for a unmodified opinion in the auditor's report, and you will be starting with opinion paragraph and basis of opinion paragraph, and the wording would be the FS is presented, the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects, and gives a true and fair view. Any of this particular thing should be either it presented fairly in all material aspects, or it would be the financial statements gives a true and fair view. That would be the thing. Both will not come together. Okay. Now, second thing, assume it is a material misstatement. Now, how would you decide the material misstatement? As we have seen, we have the basis PBT, PBIT, we have the total assets, we have the revenue over there. So we'll take the lower end of that particular thing, we'll compare the amount of the misstatement and see whether it is crossing, it would be considered as material for the examination purposes. So if it is material and not pervasive, so what is pervasive in nature is that it is either it is affecting the whole of the financial statement, or either it is representing the majority portion of the financial statement items, then it will be considered as the pervasive nature. It's not only confined to one area, but it is affecting the whole of the financial statement. That is known as pervasive. So it is material but not pervasive. You will be going for a qualified opinion with the basis of qualified opinion paragraph, or you will be having except for this issues described in basis of qualified opinion paragraph, the financial statements are presented fairly. That would be the statement over there. Similar case for the limitation of scope also. If it is material but not pervasive, only one area's documents are not available, in that case, except for that particular area, financial statement is presented fairly, that they can give qualified opinion again. Now, once you come to the next thing, the red alert, red area, it is material, it is pervasive. It is material, it is pervasive. In that nature, if it is relating to misstatement, it is material and pervasive, you will give an adverse opinion where the wordings would be stating as, because of the items that is described in the basis of adverse opinion paragraph, the financial statements are not presented in fairly all material aspects, or the financial statements do not give a true and fair view. You will be giving that opinion on the independent auditor's report. That would be the material and pervasive side. Now, relating to the limitation of scope area, if you are material and pervasive, you are not able to do all the section in that particular thing, you will be saying, I am not in a position to express my opinion. We have tried to audit, we'll say, we have tried to audit the financial statement of this particular thing, but due to the limitation, we are not in a position to express an opinion. So we'll say we do not express an opinion on the financial statement, and we'll call it as disclaimer of opinion. You are not giving an opinion on the financial statements. So these are the basic things. In addition to this, into the your audit report, there will be some other paragraph. We'll be having emphasis of matter paragraph, which will be highlighting important areas. Okay, we'll be have other matter paragraph. So just read through that particular paragraph. What is the nature of those particular paragraphs? Just once, roughly read through it. And the important one would be this thing and the CAM paragraph. Okay, now the exam technique relating to this. Exam technique relating to this. If you come down relating to this particular area below, you can see that, okay, the exam technique is already given in this particular Excel. So you can see over here, exam technique, when you are reading about effect on audit opinion paragraph, what you will do, you will ensure the following points are included for the full 5 marks. You need to get full 5 marks. You need to get these 5 points or these things, or 6 out of this particular thing you need to consider over there. Okay, what all things you need to explain. So they would have given you in the scenario over there, one situation, you need to explain what is the required treatment and what is the reported situation over there. What is the difference between both of the thing? Now, if not corrected, whether it will be material or not. If not corrected, they will say whether they will be correcting or not. So if not corrected, whether it will be material or not. So the materiality calculations you will consider. So what is the misstatement coming from the one? The misstatement coming from the one is compared against the materiality calculation. Then you will consider whether it is pervasive or not. You will make a judgment whether it is pervasive or not. Okay. Then based on this particular thing, the fourth point, do we need a modification? Do we need a modification? Do we not need a modification? So if it is not material, if it is not pervasive, we might not need a modification. In that particular case, if no modification is needed. If no modification needed, you will mention, you will be presenting an unmodified opinion with an emphasis of matter paragraph always, because there was an issue, that issue being resolved right now. That's why we are not modifying that particular thing. That issue needs to be highlighted to the users of the financial statement. So unmodified opinion with emphasis of matter paragraph. But if you are doing the modification, if you're doing the modification, if you're doing the modification, what kind of modification you're doing and the related paragraph you should give. So if it is qualified, you'd be going for qualified opinion. If it is adverse, you'll be going for basis of adverse opinion. If it is disclaimer of opinion, you'd be going with basis of disclaimer of opinion as well. So what kind of that particular thing, that also you need to be looking into. I hope that is clear. Now, very clear. You are just mentioning this. Okay, this paragraph and this paragraph is needed. Not ended over there. It's not ended over there. You need to give the explanation on the matter to be included in the basis for. So on the paragraph, okay, because of the misstatement that is coming from one. Because of the misstatement that is coming from one, okay, you needs to do this particular modification, and the keywords of the opinion need to be mentioned. So what are the keywords relating to this particular thing? If it was adverse, you would say we do not provide, do not provide or do not give true and fair view. Do not give true and fair view. It is very rare that, very rare that you will be getting an adverse opinion. Okay, you'll be normally getting a qualified only. You'll be normally getting a qualified opinion only. So where the keyword is except for, you'll be using the keyword that is except for. So once you have this, use this except for particular thing. Majority meaning like even if your revision kit, even in your study hub, if you search for all questions, you will be going for either qualified except for, or the other way around, like no disclaimer of opinion, where you will be giving. But normally majority 99% cases, it is only that majority thing that will be coming up over there. Majority, that would be the case coming up. Qualified except for. So turning that particular thing would be the key over here. Okay, so I will just take you through answer that is being from your answer from your revision kit itself. Okay, this was relating to like no a particular, okay, the final audit is now, this was relating to a redundancy provision, and redundancy provision related thing. Okay, they have now decided, I'm not reading through the first part, reading through the deep part situation over here. Final audit is now nearing. Okay, and you're reviewing financial statement. Directors have told you that they have decided against including, they are not going to include the redundancy provision of 1.8 million in the financial statement for 31st May as a closure of the shop. The closure of shop will not take place until September 20x5. So this particular thing is relating to redundancy thing. So what would be the issue over here? So you can just go to see that particular answer over here. You can see the split of that particular pointers over here. Okay, now the required treatment. Point number 1. What is the required treatment? The provision should be included in 20x5 financial statement. Okay, because now we'll explain why. The closure was announced in May 20x5 to these affected by it, and it's a detailed formal plan must have been made in order to announce the timetable for closure to the employees. So there is therefore a constructive obligation at the year end. So required that particular. So required treatment is this particular thing. So first one, this is the required treatment. Number 1, required treatment. Okay, required treatment. Number 2, what if you are not correcting it? If the provision is not made, liabilities will understated and the profit will be overstated by 1 point in. Again, the first point. Okay, what is the reported situation? What is the reported situation? So first paragraph was that first point, required versus reported situations we are looking at. Now, second one, you need to calculate the materiality. You are calculating materiality. Look very carefully, guys, here. How do you calculate the materiality? There are two ways to calculate, but the easy ways to calculate over here is you will take it as a proportion, the misstatement amount, that 1.8 million, that misstatement amount, that 1.8 million misstatement amount would be taken as a proportion to the profit before tax total amount given. So 1.8 million to 22.8 million of profit before tax, it is giving you 7.9 percentage, and the lower end range for the profit before tax is 5 percentage. So it is above that. So it is material. This way we can do always. Okay, take the misstatement amount, divide it using the base of that particular materiality, take the percentage, consider whether this percentage is more than the lower end of that particular thing. You will be having 7.9 here, it is more than 5, so it will become material over there. Now the second thing, 1.8 million to 84.3 million, you are getting 2.1 percentage of the net assets, so it is 1 percentage to 2 percentage, so it is already about the lower end, it is also above the upper end of that particular thing, so it is become material. So therefore it is become material. Point number 2, whether it is material or not. Okay, now a modified auditor's opinion would be required. So here modified opinion is required. Why modified opinion is required? This is actually, okay, before that, there, as the misstatement is material but not pervasive. Why? How we are deciding whether it is not pervasive? It is only affecting like no one area. So this is a liability kind of thing. So it is only coming to 2.1 percentage of the net assets, meaning that okay, it is very low effect that will be having on the financial statement as a whole. I'll repeat again, since this is a liability and this misstatement is only affecting 2.1 percentage of the net assets, meaning like only it is only coming to 2 percentage of the net assets only over there, so it is only affecting that area, not the whole area. But instead, if it is coming as 30 or 40 percentage of that thing, we will be considering this as a significant effect. So if it is a significant effect, in that particular case it would be considered as pervasive. But here, since it is only affecting one small area, we are not considering it as pervasive, it is not pervasive. So since it is material but not pervasive, you will give a qualified opinion. That would be necessary. Point number 3 and 4. Point number 3 and 4. Okay, now we are going to explain, okay, there is a need for a basis of qualified opinion paragraph that will be included repeating explaining that particular issue. So that issue should be explained in that particular thing. Point number 5. Point number 6, the keyword. The opinion paragraph would state except for the matter, it gives a true and fair view. That is a keyword. Keyword, again you will be having the 6 point. So these 6 point, if you keep inside, you will get a sure shot 5 mark for your answer relating to this. Are we clear relating to this particular part? So these 5 pointers, as we mentioned, the exam technique relating to reporting, if you have these 5 pointers over there, yes, you will get this particular marks easily. Easy marks. Easy marks. Now, even if you have made a mistake relating to the assumption of this particular, no, whether it is pervasive material or this particular thing, you would be losing only 1 mark over there. You might be getting the rest of the mark, or let's say you will be losing 2 marks. 3 marks is guaranteed if you are following this particular structure over here. Now, one hint for everyone. One hint for everyone. Okay, it has been seen that. Okay, in the ACCA exam, they are giving you a qualified opinion. Whatever may be the option, it is leading towards a qualified opinion only. You can thoroughly check all the questions also. You will not see any question that is giving you impact on the auditor's report as adverse opinion, or I think one question was disclaimer opinion, but 99.99% cases, all the question will be coming for qualified with except for opinion. So if you are unsure about what kind of opinion it is, unsure about whether it is pervasive or not also, better thing is what? Say that if you are unsure, go with qualified, material and not pervasive. Okay, if you are sure, you can go through that particular and keep. So tip is over here. Major times in ACCA exam, it is qualified with except for opinion. So you can consider that. Okay, right. Now The reporting part, the other area. In the reporting part, the other questions that will be coming relating to this would be relating to the CAM paragraph. Again, the CAM paragraph is again an area which will give you easy marks. CAM paragraph again can give you easy marks. Again, we have that particular full 5 marks. You need to look into like no 6 or 7 pointers over here. 6 on 7 pointers to be considered. So there would be normally two questions that will be coming up in a particular scenario question. Okay, they would consider what are the factors to be considered before including a matter in the CAM paragraph, and what would be the contents of a CAM paragraph. These two questions will come for a total of 5 marks over there with a split of 3 to 2. I would say with a split of 3 to 2. So the points that we can see over here, okay, I'll go through each of the points. These points you need to just mention in sentences. These points only you need to mention. You will get the 5 marker relating to that. So let's look into this particular thing. First point. Okay, now we need to check, is the matter is taken from the scenario, is the matter from the scenario, meaning from the question, whatever scenario is already from the matters that has been communicated to the those charged with governance. So CAM are the items that will only take from those matters that is already being communicated to those charged with governance. So first we need to check whether this matter is being communicated to those charged with governance. Second, okay, using your professional judgment, what is the level of risk of material misstatement? What is the level of risk of material misstatement? Are we using estimates or significant judgments relating to this CAM related item? Are we having a significant estimate or judgments used being over there? If it is having a high risk of material misstatement, and if it is having a use of estimates and significant judgments, automatically that will qualify under CAM item. If it is having a higher risk of material misstatement and you will have a use of estimates or significant judgments, automatically that qualifies for a CAM paragraph. Then the fourth thing that you need to consider, in the professional judgment of the auditor, the same sentence you can use. In the professional judgment of the auditor, this matter warrants inclusion in the key audit matter paragraph. So these four things, if you check, it is giving yes, 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 that particular thing is coming up over there, you can include. These are the factors to considered before including a matter in the key audit matter paragraph. Now to the second portion of that particular thing, we need to consider what is the matter. Explain what is the matter, meaning you will be just writing down what is the matter of this particular key audit matter to be included, and a reference to that notes will be given in the FS. You will be given reference to the notes or reference to the area where it will be done. A reference will be given over there. Then you will have a brief explanation relating to why this has been a CAM. We will explain in that particular thing why this as a CAM, and you will also have a brief description of what are the audit procedures done by the auditor on this matter to get enough confidence so that there are no material misstatement coming up. So these are the three contents that will come in the CAM paragraph. To make you understand more relating to this, let me take you question number 3. Okay, this was relating to a particular provision related aspect. Okay, where the legal claim against a particular company, audit team has a provision of 0.6 million that should be recognized, but they have originally provided only 0.25 million. Significant increase in provision was required in order to comply with IAS 37. Now the audit engagement partner has determined that the provision now appropriately is valued. So they have made the corrections, and the engagement partner has determined that okay, the provision is now okay, and they are going to be communicated as a CAM over here. Now they are asking the factors which the audit engagement partner would have considered in determining the issue is a CAM or not. Factors to consider whether it is a CAM. That 4 points we discussed, and describe the content of the CAM section in the auditor's report. What all will be come in the content. So 2 things, total of 5 marks. So let's see the answer for this particular thing, the framing of that particular thing. Okay, and let's see breaking down this particular thing here. Now, one more thing that should be noted over here, CAM paragraph is a mandatory requirement. CAM is a mandatory requirement for listed companies. CAM is a mandatory requirement, could be listed company. Okay, the first sentence could be the company is listed company, so key audit matter is required as per ISA. You don't have to remember the number, you don't have to mention the number, you can just mention as per ISA. As per ISA, this is a listed company, key audit matter is required. Now see the next paragraph. The audit engagement partner would have considered. Now see, the audit engagement partner would have considered whether the matter was communicated to those charged with governance. So as CAM, governance, as CAM are selected from matters communicated to those charged with governance. The sentence is coming like that only. Second, the audit engagement partner would have also considered the level of risk in relation to the what is the issue over here. So this one is what is the issue, that is adherent to the valuation of the provision. Okay, and in determining the size of the liability in an accounting estimate, the level of judgment, two things. Okay, the level of risk and level of judgment involved in deciding the valuation of that particular thing and the size of the liability. So this red highlighted line items will only change relating to the situation. The audit engagement partner have also considered whether in their professional judgment, so in the partner's professional judgment, the matters relating to, again the matters, okay, valuation of the provision were of most significance. Valuation of the provision were of most significance in the audit of the whichever company you are doing with the financial statements. So whatever I have underlined as red, that is only going to change in your answer. The other things will be, the other things would be the same. You can by heart this particular thing if you want, you can restate this particular thing like that. So factors to consider, only the red highlighted items will change, which the other things would be the exact same wordings, same thing with your concept over here. The CAM section of the auditor, CAM section should include a reference to the audit risk in relation to, valuation of the provision, okay, and the level of judgment required to make this particular assessment. It should detail why this issue was considered to be an area of significance in audit, therefore determined to be a CAM. It must also explain how the matter was addressed in the audit, and the auditor should provide a brief overview of audit procedures adopted, as well as detailing a review was undertaken of any related disclosures. Now you see over here, whatever I have underlined, is only going to change in your answer for a next question also. Be it a next question, be it another company, related to a CAM paragraph, only that red highlighted thing would be changing. For example, if they are taking that redundancy of the previous case, it would be like, no, they are presented properly. In that case, I will take the company's name. I will say whether it's a listed company, it is mandatory over there. If it is not a listed company, the company can choose to give this particular thing. I can just give that statement over there. Okay, then I'll be saying, okay, the valuation of the redundancy provision, again the amount related thing, the valuation of redundancy provision and the size of liability, again an accounting estimate. That if you are unsure about the second side, only mention the level of risk in relation to the valuation of the particular redundancy provision and the level of judgment involved in deciding what would be the amount of provision. You can mention like that, and then you will consider the matters relating to the valuation of redundancy provision and the completeness of that is most significant to the audit. You'll just change that. And the contents of CAM, the valuation of the provision, the valuation of this thing you will replace. Only that underlined areas needs to be replaced. The rest of the things you can reproduce same wordings, and I want you guys to have the same wordings. Don't change your wordings. There are technical terms. I'm highlighting you. There are technical terms. These technical terms needs to be there in your, these sentences needs to be there in your answer. Exactly, these sentences needs to be in your answer to gain full marks for this particular thing. Only that red thing will change, red underline thing will change, rest of the things will be the same. Okay, yes guys, so this marks the end of the live session for today. If you have any questions relating to any of the reporting or substantive related thing, you can post it in the chat box. I'll give you like 2 to 3 minutes, okay, for that particular thing. In the meanwhile, I will just conclude the session like, okay, we have now completed day 1, day 2, day 3 of class series, where we have considered, okay, audit risk, internal control systems, and we have considered now substantive procedures and your and your reporting related areas. How to frame the question, what were the exam techniques, how to score easy marks. This all things have been done over here. Okay, so the motto or the way to get more marks again is basically on this particular sentence over here, like, no, listen, okay, practice, practice, practice. Practice more questions, practice a lot of questions. When I say practice a lot of questions comes with, like, no, you type in, since your answer is not writing, you'll be typing the answers. So type and do the questions repeatedly. Be the same questions you have already done, take a break, take another question, take that question again back, clear all the mistakes you have made over there. So repeatedly do the questions, you will get good marks relating to this particular area. Keep the time management, keep your time management, you'll be getting a good score over here. If you are not writing full marks, it is very difficult to get a pass mark. You need to attend all the questions, you guys need to attend all the questions. So ideally, what would be the way to do this particular thing is, start with section B, start with section B, complete the section B, then go back to your section A. Because multiple choice, even if in a particular situation, like, no, you are not having that much time, you can just choose the options here and around, which cannot be done for the other thing. So keep the time management correctly, do the questions clearly, and have this particular thing very specifically, like, no, to do that particular aspect. Okay, currently kindly do this particular thing over here. Okay, so we will be looking into this particular thing, like, no, you can do more questions over here. We have done the reason questions over here. Try to frame in your answer with the exam techniques that is being mentioned over there. So chat box is open to you. Any questions we can take, or else we can close out the session for this. And again, just like the other days, this particular question or this particular Excel will be shared with you. Okay, and you can have a look relating to this particular Excel relating to the topics as well. Right. Yes. So any kind of questions you have relating to, now we have just now covered. Now the day 4 is planning on. We are planning on the day 4. We're planning on the day 4 only to look at. The day 4 will be to look at how to do the particular mock exam, or how to do a exam in full thing. We'll be considering like an exam. I will show you how we'll be tackling, how will be easier, like, no, we'll be flipping through some questions which would be done, which something, like, no, I am getting some problems on how to tackle, like, no, in real thing. I will not be answering the full questions, but I'll take you through the methodologies we can do to use in a full exam paper over there. So please be reminded, like, no, we'll be starting the session again at 3:30 for the next day. Okay, so we'll be going with a particular CBE practice platform question over there, and we can consider that as that particular thing, right? Yes, Ashwini, it's thanks from my end, like, no, you guys took this particular time to like, no, attend the sessions for your betterment, right? So any questions, you can always reach out to me or to SOE Global relating to, like, no, clarity relating to any of the concepts. Okay, and you can comment below these particular videos, which will be available in the SOE Global site after this live session is over. Also, any comments, any doubts, you can comment over there also. I'll go through that, and you can give, like, no, reply there itself. Okay, so anyone who is not yet seen or not yet attempted a mock, okay, not yet attempted a particular question on the CBE platform, don't be, like, no, late for the session, which will be the live session for tomorrow, which will be happening at 24th of February at 3:30 p.m. as we will be taking you through the CBE practice platform and the methods and the techniques I will be using, or I will be giving to students to tackle the question easily. So you can consider exam techniques is now taken. Now we'll be taking tips and trips that can be used in the real exam scenario over there. Yes, guys. So any questions I can take 1-2 minutes. I can wait for you. Any questions, or else you can put your questions in the chat box as well after this particular things also. But I'll wait. I'll wait for 1-2 minutes. Okay. So in the meanwhile, I'm just giving you a particular poll for you to answer. Okay, you can give your opinion relating to that particular poll that has been just posted. Okay, right? Yes. So any question, Deepak? Any questions, Sumit? Any questions, Vignesh? Okay, those chat people. Okay, I'm seeing over here. Naman, is it clear for you? Right. So considering like there are no questions coming up, okay. Thank you for being with me for this 2 hours over here, guys. So we'll be going ahead for the next session on tomorrow on 24th of February at 3:30 p.m. That select that if you have not given like no that notification on, give that notification on so that you will be getting that notification that when we are going live again. Okay, and remind you again, this live videos are available in the SOE Global YouTube channel. You can refer it later also. You can tell your friends to view that particular also if they fail to like no log in for this particular live session. So and ask them to join for the next live session, which will be on the question papers solving. Thank you, guys. We will see you in the next session, session number 4, day 4 AA crash sessions tomorrow at 3:30 p.m.